Sige. So this morning, I'll be teaching you, class, how to write the introduction of your thesis. We'll be discussing all the parts. So we have here the components. You will be writing all of this depending on the research topic that will be chosen. So the first part will be the introduction, and then we will have the statement of the problem, and then we will have the hypothesis, though I will discuss also what assumption is, but this is not included actually. We are not going to write the assumption in our research. And then we have the significance of the study, the theoretical and or conceptual framework. I wrote here and or kasi not all of research papers class contain theoretical and even conceptual framework. It depends on the topic. And then scope and delimitation of the study. And last but not the least, we will have the review of related literatures and studies. But on this part, I will be discussing this on the midterms na. So sa finals, ay sa prelim hanggang scope and delimitation lang tayo. Okay. Again, we are not going to use the old format, wherein we have the chapters 1 to 5. We will use the IMRAD format. IMRAD means introduction, methodology, results, and discussion. So we will start with the introduction. The review of related literatures and studies are included here in the introduction. So this is the first part, the introduction itself. From the name introduction, you have to present, you have to introduce your research problem or your research topic. You have to present that. You have to let your readers know what your study is all about. What are the things that are already known about your problem and what are yet to be discovered and that you are trying to identify in your research. So you have to explain, you have to summarize or elaborate your research topic in the introduction. However, everything that you are going to write here should be related to your research question. Now, the most difficult thing to do in writing a research paper is actually how to start one. Now, for the introduction, how do we begin our introduction? You may use either of the following ways on how to present your topic. You may choose to write or start with an assertion beginning or a quotation beginning or a question beginning. But please avoid the dictionary introduction. Example, your topic is about COVID-19. Please do not start with an introduction like COVID-19 is a condition caused by SARS-CoV-2 virus. That is what you call a dictionary introduction. Yun yung meaning talaga ng COVID-19. We don't do that in research. But again, you may start with an assertion beginning. You may assert something about your topic. You would like to believe that, example, COVID-19 is a very difficult problem we are facing right now, globally or nationwide. That's an assertion beginning. You are asserting something about your topic. Okay? Or you may start with a quotation. You may copy the idea of someone, but you really have to give credit where credit is due. You have to place that in a quotation and state his or her idea in your research. Or you may begin with a question, and then afterwards, you elaborate your topic. So this is just for the beginning. So let me give you an example. Nagba-bounce back yung email ko kay Ma'am Yas. Ano nangyari dito? Anyway, mamaya ko na yan kasi kasuhin. Yung mga research paper ninyo, pinorward ko kay Ma'am Yas, kaya lang nagkaka-problem with the email. Ayaw. I'm trying to contact her. Pero let us wait. Okay. So let us try to look for an example on how to begin your research paper. This is the research title. You have to make your research title like this. Pero wala pa kayong title, so let's not discuss about that. Even the preliminaries, let's not discuss about this first since wala pa kayong ilalagay dito. The acknowledgement, wala pa tayong people na i-acknowledge sa paper ninyo. So next time na lang ito. Even the abstract, let's just start with the introduction. So yan. Dami lang preliminaries. Okay. So this is class, an example of an introduction of a research paper. This research is entitled Medical Fake News and Fear Mongering on COVID-19, its impact on the vaccine confidence among millennials. So wala tayong chapter 1 ha, diretso na tayo, introduction. And look at their first statement. Okay. The increased rampancy of fake news, hearsays, fallacies, and unproven pieces of information during the COVID-19 pandemic is one of the growing public health concerns worldwide. This one is an example of an assertion beginning. This is an assertion by the researcher. So definitely, wala tayong reference here, wala tayong citation for the first sentence of the introduction because this is what the researcher would like to believe. It's their assertion. Okay, that's how you present your research topic. Please do not start with a definition coming from the dictionary or coming from an online source. Like if your study is about diabetes, please do not start with diabetes is a condition characterized by hyperglycemia or increased level of blood sugar. That is a dictionary definition. Most of the studies in the school actually use assertion beginning. Kung babasahin niyo yung mga research available in the laboratory, nagsistart sila ng assertion beginning. Okay? And then after the assertion, this is what you would like to believe about your research topic. After that, that's the time you elaborate your research topic. You may actually include dictionary definition, but you should not start with it. So just like this one, this is their assertion, the highlighted one, but actually the next sentences there are dictionary definition. That's how they elaborate their research topic. Their research topic is about medical fake news and then yung vaccine confidence. Okay? So yun yung pag-start. That's just the beginning of the introduction ha. You may ask question if you are confused about something. Okay? But what are the other things that you need to discuss in your introduction? So aside from the assertion beginning, syempre after that, you have to again explain, define, or elaborate your research topic. Okay, your subject matter or your research problem. And you may also discuss the importance of your research topic. What is the role of your topic in the life or community, in the life of your respondents or your chosen population or the community as a whole? Okay? Meaning, why are you studying that? Is it important? Meron bang urgency to conduct this kind of study? And you also have to state your reasons why you chose to investigate this certain topic. Okay? Meaning you have to elaborate also what motivated you to conduct this study. And then the last part of the introduction should state the purpose or the overall objective of your study. So let us go back to the example a while ago and how they wrote their introduction. So again, number 1, they started with an assertion beginning, and it was followed by the elaboration of the topic. So they discussed vaccine confidence, and that fear-mongering has something to do with the vaccine confidence. Okay? Next, after that, they actually discussed the urgency why they need to conduct the study. How do you establish the urgency? in research sa introduction, you will always find statistical data. Kasi that's how we establish the urgency. What statistical data is that? Statistical data available about your research problem, your problem. And that statistical data should include data internationally, nationally, and locally. Okay? So lahat yun ha. Example, your topic is COVID-19. So definitely you should present gaano na karami yung nagka-COVID worldwide, gaano na karami yung nagka-COVID in the whole Philippines, and you may also explore statistical data locally, meaning in general Santa City if your research local is Gensan. Okay? But if in case you cannot locate any statistical data locally, that will be fine. Pero please exhaust all means to identify. Other researchers dati would go to the city health office just to get the local data. Yun yung ginagawa nila. They can find it in online sources. Pumupunta talaga sila sa city health office for the data. Okay? So, kung nakikita ninyo, wala kasi tayong time talaga na basahin yung kanilang whole introduction, no? But after elaborating the topic, they included statistical data here just to prove their point that there is really a problem. Okay? Na ganito na karami yung ayaw magpa-vaccine. Bumaba na talaga kasi merong part doon yung fear-mongering or yung mga fake news. Okay? And look at their last paragraph for the introduction. So actually, the last paragraph again should discuss the purpose or the general objective of this study. That's it. Okay? So as you can see, especially this part here, we have here to deal with the threat of vaccine hesitancy. The researchers need to know if fake news and fear-mongering affect the vaccine confidence of the millennials in General Santos City. So that is their goal. That is their objective or the purpose of this study. Now, if you're going to ask me, ma'am, gaano kahaba yung introduction? Now, the ideal is 1.5 pages. Okay? Pwedeng 2, pero actually yung 2 pages, mahaba na yun siya. 1.5. Okay. Okay, so actually yung sa kanila, hindi nga ito umabot ng 1/2. Pero this one is ideal. Hindi tayo pahabaan class ng introduction ha. Hindi ito pahabaan ng introduction. As long as you have presented your research topic well and then you have established why there is a need to conduct this study, then that is okay. And then lastly, your objectives. Okay, any question about the introduction of research? Siyempre, I cannot pinpoint sa inyo no kasi wala pa tayong research topic. You have passed your concept paper but still wala pa tayong napipili talaga. Okay? But you may ask questions after. If meron na kayong research topic, tapos magsa-start na kayong gumawa ng introduction, you may ask me. And this is being recorded for you to review by the time that you are going to make one na. Now, the next part after the introduction is the statement of the problem or our SOP. Now, in here, we are going to write the questions or the things that we need to identify in our research, the questions that we need to answer in our research. Now, how do we write the statement of the problem? It should start with the general statement of or the objective of your research. Remember, you ended with the objective of the study in the introduction. But in the statement of the problem, you have to restate that. That will be the first thing that you need to write in the SOP. You have to restate the objective of your research, and then it will be followed by specific questions. Okay? Again, it will be followed by specific questions. Bale, yung yung objective mo, hahati-hatiin mo yun siya. You will be dividing it into specific question, but the goal is yung questions na yan will answer the general objective. It will help you achieve the general objective of your research. Now, what are these questions? These questions, class, syempre, are related no, to your research topic and will help you achieve the general objective. And at the same time, these questions, class, should be answered in the results section, in the findings of the study. Please do not include questions that you are unable to answer in the data that you will gather. And then, ano talaga, questions ito na makakakuha kayo ng data by data gathering procedures like doing interviews or using questionnaires or performing experimentation in the laboratory or doing observations. You don't include questions that can be answered by doing desk research. Okay, like pwede mo man pala siyang i-research no sa internet. Hindi mo na siya kailangang i-include dyan sa statement of the problem mo. Kasi yung sagot sa question na yan, i-include na lang natin doon sa RRL. Okay? Okay. Sige, Sheila. Sige. Now, what are these questions? These questions are actually dependent on what research design are you going to utilize. Kung qualitative research ba siya or quantitative research. So kung quantitative research siya, ano ba siya? Descriptive ba siya or experimental? So again, dependent siya on the research design. So for example, if your research is a quantitative descriptive research, meaning you have numerical data, but it is descriptive only. So our goal is to just describe a certain phenomenon or situation. Then most of the research like this class starts with a question asking about the demographic profile of the respondents. Kasi in research, before you are going to administer your questionnaire, you have to identify who will be these persons na mag-a-answer sa questionnaire nyo. And merong mga things that we need to establish. We call that demographic profile. Example, the age, the gender or the sex, the civil status or the income of the respondents. Hindi ko sinasabing lahat ito isasalin nyo in your research question about the demographic profile. But you just have to identify what are the things that you need to establish sa sa research ninyo. Anong kailangan nating ipakita na characteristics of our respondents. Okay? And then aside from that, you have to include syempre questions that will also answer the condition of your respondents physically, socially, psychologically, or professionally, depending on your research topic. And other questions that actually relevant in your research. Now, if your study is quantitative, again, we have numerical data. The last question will always be about determining either the significant relationship or the significant difference among variables. Quantitative researchers always have these questions, the last question sa SOP. Now, let us look at our example a while ago. So we have it here. After the introduction, we have the statement of the problem. So as you can see, they restated their objective of their study. And then we have here the specific questions. Now, since this is a quantitative descriptive research, they started with the demographic profile of their respondents, but they only have 3 here. So for them, ito lang yung dapat nilang i-establish kasi ito lang yung important in their research. We have the educational attainment, occupation, and the family monthly income. Okay? Then next, it is followed by, syempre, question that is relevant to their research and will help them achieve the objective of their study. So they ask, what is the level of influence of the medical fake news and fear-mongering doon sa vaccine confidence ng mga respondents nila? Now, since this is quantitative research, then it ended with asking about the relationship ng fake news and fear-mongering doon sa vaccine confidence. When you are asking about relationship, you're actually establishing whether may direct proportionality ba na relationship or inverse proportionality. What do you mean by this? Kung tumaas ba, example, yung paniniwala nila sa medical fake news, kung directly proportional, syempre tataas din yung vaccine confidence. Pero kung inversely proportional na relationship, kapag tumaas yung kanilang medical fake news na belief, then bababa yung kanilang vaccine confidence. Yun yung hinahanap when you are asking about relationship between variables. Okay? So yan yung kanilang statement of the problem. Let's try to look for other examples. I have my But these are drafts, ha? This is not actually the final paper. Let's just have examples ng mga medtech research. What is that? This one? Wait lang. I think this one. Still paper here. Oh yeah, this one. So let's see. We'll discuss later their introduction. Medyo mahaba ang introduction nila. Mabot ng sobrang 2 pages. But this is their statement of the problem. Again, they started with the general objective of their research and then followed by specific question. Now this is about CAP, knowledge, attitude, and practices sa pag-dispose ng face mask or nung PPE-related waste. So this is a quantitative descriptive research also. So they started with the demographic profile. So unlike the previous example, we have 6 demographic profiles here. Kasi kailangan nila sa research nila. They need to establish ano yung age ng kanilang mga respondents, baka kasi bata, yung iba matanda, ganun. And then we have gender, educational attainment, occupation, ethnicity, and family income level. And then marami silang questions, no? 6. Kailangan to nilang sagutin lahat in their findings or in their results section. So iniisa-isa kasi nila. Sabi ko sa inyo, hahati-hatiin nyo yung objective ninyo, yung general objective ninyo into specific question. So they have question asking for the level of knowledge ng respondent sa face mask disposal. They also have question on the level of attitude and the practices. And then they have 2 questions. Oops. No, wala. Wait. Nangyari dun. I don't have my mouse kasi nahirapan talaga ako pag wala akong mouse. So pag-navigate. Oops, na sobrang. Ayan. So they have 2 questions, significant. Both questions are asking about significant relationship, pero magkaiba ito. They want to know the relationship between the level of knowledge, attitude, and practices on face mask disposal. Ano ibig sabihin yan? Example, kung mataas ba yung knowledge ng mga respondents sa pag-dispose, does it mean mataas din yung kanilang pag-practice or nagpa-practice ba talaga sila or mataas lang pero mababa yung kanilang practice? Yun yung hinahanap nila when they ask about significant relationship. And aside from that, they also ask if there is a significant relationship between the demographic profile and yung CAP. So, dalawang relationship yung hinahanap nila dito. Kaya marami silang in-establish na demographic profile. So, for example, they want to know the relationship of age and the disposal, the practice. So, example, pag tumaas ba yung age, so as tumaas yung age, no? Does it mean tataas din ba yung pag-practice nila sa pagtapon? Or tataas din ba yung practice nila not to practice, knowledge nila sa pagtapon ng face mask? Ganun yung hinahanap when you're looking for the relationship of the demographic profile and the variables. So, medyo makapal ang paper nila kasi marami silang questions na kailangang sagutin in their findings of the study. Okay? So again, wala naman tayong limit dito. Depende kasi talaga ito sa research. Siyempre, kung madali lang ang topic ng research ninyo, konti lang din yung questions dyan sa SOP. Okay? So any question or clarification before we'll continue to the next component? Kasi the next component will be the assumption, though sabi ko kanina, kung walang question, let us continue. Pero if you have, just send your questions in the chat box and we'll try to answer that. So sabi ko kanina, assumptions are not really included in the paper. But for your information na lang, ang assumptions, ito yung belief ng researcher. Belief nyo ito as researcher, but hindi natin siya sinestate in the research paper and we don't test this also. Okay? Hindi natin siya tinitest whether tama ba or mali yung belief ninyo. So example, may research tayo about making a system, an automated system for a certain clinic or hospital. Okay? So, gagawa yung researcher niyan. Now, syempre, may belief yung researcher. Number one, na yung gagawin niyang system, gagamitin talaga ng doctors and staffs. Yun yung pinapaniwalaan niya. Pero hindi natin yan itetest. Kasi after the automated system na matapos, hindi niya na concern kung gagamitin ba talaga or hindi. Basta naniniwala siya na gagamitin. Okay? And another thing, that the current clinic management is done manually and now requires automation. So again, this is another belief of the researcher. Why he or she is like proposing for an automated system? Kasi naniniwala siyang manual ang lahat ng transactions in that clinic and nangangailangan na ng automated system. But again, we don't really state these assumptions in our research paper. But if you are asked what assumption is, it's just the belief of the researcher about his or her topic for research, and it need not to be tested. What we are trying to test is actually the hypothesis. Okay? So hypothesis again is an educated guess, a tentative solution to your problem. So remember, diba, we have the introduction, we introduce our research problem or our research topic, and then we have SOP, the statement of the problem. Kailangan meron tayong a problem talaga that we need to address. Now, for the hypothesis class, this is our tentative proposal on how to address this problem at hand. But, unlike assumption, we are going to really test whether our proposal is correct or not. That is hypothesis. Now, sabi ko kanina, this is an educated guess, meaning you cannot just propose a solution to a problem. You need to be educated first. You need to research first for possible solutions, and that itong solution na pinopropose mo, meron siyang background. Meron kang background data for that, meron kang supporting evidence na pwede talaga siyang maging solution to your problem. Now, we have two types of hypothesis. We have the null or the HO and the research or alternative hypothesis, we call that H1. But for the institutional format, we are only using the null hypothesis. Okay? Actually, the difference between the two is just the form of the statement. Kasi si null hypothesis is stated in the negative form. Like we are denying the existence of, or we are denying the existence of the difference or relationship between variables. So what's the example? We have here an example of a null hypothesis. there is no significant difference between the efficiency of male and female radiologic technologists in the hospital laboratories. Okay, so yung research niya is concerned about the efficiency in terms of work of the rad tech na sa hospital. Pero yung kanyang educated guess is in the null form walang difference naman yung efficiency ng babae at lalaki. So, ang tawag natin dito null kasi in the negative form. Kapag stinate mo siya in the positive form, we call that alternative hypothesis. So, we are confirming the existence of the relationship or the difference between our variables. So, kung titingnan nyo itong example, magkapareha lang naman na wala lang yung no. So, positive form siya. There is a significant difference between the efficiency of male and female radiologic technologists in the hospital laboratories. Okay? Now, let's look at the example nung sample paper natin, yung face mask disposal. Dalawa, kung gaano karami yung question mo asking about difference and relationship, ganun din karami yung hypothesis mo. Actually, yung last question class, wait lang. Last question sa SOP, gawin mo lang siyang declarative statement. Kasi interrogative yun, diba? Basta na nasobrahan. We have it here. Diba dalawa yung question nila, is there a significant relationship between the CAP and the CAP sa mass disposal and relationship between demographic profile and knowledge? So, ang mangyayari ay this is not an edited paper pala. Dalawa kasi dapat yung kanilang pinagsama nila. There is no significant relationship between the knowledge, attitude, practices, and demographic profile towards face mask disposal amidst COVID-19 pandemic in Barangay Kalumpang, General Santos City. So gawin nyo lang interrogative na sentence yung last question nyo sa SOP, and since we are going to use the null, so just state it in the negative form. So let's try to look at the other example, this one, para makita nyo how they state their hypothesis. By the way, this is for, yung mga examples ko is quantitative, descriptive ito. So ito yung last nilang question, is there a significant relationship between medical fake news and fear-mongering? Pagdating sa null hypothesis, you will just state it in the declarative form and at the same time negative form siya. So there is no significant relationship between medical fake news and fear-mongering and the vaccine confidence. So ganun lang, null hypothesis. This is true for all quantitative research, both experimental and descriptive research. Pero paano kung qualitative? I don't know if merong nag-propose sa inyo ng qualitative research, but this is an example of a qualitative research. Though this is not a study of the medtech students. Study ito ng mga psych. So, journey of generation experience with LGBTQ children. So, yung participants nila dito, yung mga parents na merong mga anak na member of the LGBTQ community. We wanted to explore the experiences of the parents. Okay? So, itong qualitative research actually, wala tayong talagang maraming questions dito for the SOP. Kasi ang gusto lang talaga natin malaman if it is a phenomenological research, yung experiences ng mga participants. Okay? And then, wala din itong hypothesis. So again, if you are going to make a qualitative research, wala kayong hypothesis class. Kasi remember, hypothesis is our tentative solution to a problem. Ito, wala naman talaga tayong kailangang solution dito. Kasi experiences naman ito. Gusto lang naman natin malaman yung experiences. So walang kailangan ng solution. Kaya wala tayong hypothesis. Okay? I hope that is clear. Any question or clarification about that? Before tayo mag-move on sa ating, what's the next part? Significance of the study. Una na ni sila paniud to. Nagkaon siguro ni sila kaya wala sila nakatingog. Okay ra ha, okay ra mo nga mukhaon mo din ha. Wait lang. Hanap mo. Kasi natulog na mo din ha. Anyway, diretso-diretsohon dyan na to, Nino. Actually, I'm expecting na I'm expecting na dili gid siya mag-sink in hangtod wala mo research topic, but para ano lang, ma-advance na lang siya and then diretso-diretso mo pagsulat pag na may research topic. Karon wala pa dyan siya di mo siya mag-sink in. Di matulog. Magnanga jud pagbuhat og research and then your defense will be November. Mid-September na tayo ngayon. So you only have most likely mga 1.5 or 2 months to finish everything and have the proposal defense. Meron bang nababagsak sa proposal? Wala naman talagang nababagsak sa proposal na as in super bagsak. Ano lang, marami lang talagang like uulitin. Minsan talaga yung the whole paper yung inuulit. Including the title. Medyo bagsak lang. Magnalay nga na. And actually, meron lang yung mga hindi nga tumutulong sa research. Yun lang yung bumabagsak talaga sa research. May nagre-repeat talaga ng research. So, yung hindi tumutulong, so ina-out natin sila sa group. And then, if they want to do still the research, mag-individual research sila. Pero kung hindi, talagang ulitin nila yung next year. So remember, pag hindi nyo napasa yung research class, that means no internship for you also. So diba, mag-i-internship na kayo sa inyong 4th year. And then one requirement for that is for you to finish all your ACADS. So pag nabagsak din kayo sa research, hindi din kayo makakapag-internship. So you have to exert effort also for this one. Now, after class, sa hypothesis will be the significance of the study. From the name itself, this is where we establish the importance, the relevance or significance of your research. Or this is where we identify what are the benefits that we can get in your research, especially the findings of the study. Okay? So what are we going to do with the significance of the study? The first thing that you need to do is to identify the person, the group of people or the organization that will benefit from your findings. And then after identifying them, you also have to identify the specific benefits that they can get in your research. So this is how the significance study looks like. Yung aim ng research, pinapaulit-ulit talaga yan. Maraming parts sa research na pinauulit talaga yung pag-state sa aim or sa objective ng study. So that's how you start your significance of the study also. And then followed by the different entities that will benefit from your research. This is the format ha, naka-indent, naka-bold yung magbe-benefit and then followed by the description or the discussion of what benefit that they can get from your findings or from your research. Okay? So again, this is the significance of the study. So you will be identifying this ha, and then you will be arranging them according to the weight or according to the impact. So kung sino yung pinaka magbe-benefit from your research, sila yung mauuna dito. And nakapasunod yan siya, class. Hanggang sa pinaka huling magbe-benefit sa research ninyo. Okay? So how many people or how many entities will this be? At least 7. So please identify at least 7 entities that will benefit from your research. So most of the time, the last that will benefit from your research are the future researchers. So please do not forget them. Yung future researchers, nasa last sila. Okay, sa list. And you may also include researcher, meaning yourselves. What are the benefits that you can get from your research? You have to discuss the benefits one by one. Okay, so next, we have the theoretical framework. Okay, but not all research class have theoretical framework. Yung especially the qualitative research, most of the time wala yung theoretical framework. But definitely for quanti, descriptive man yan or experimental, meron tayong theoretical framework. What is this? Yeah, recording. Yeah. Actually, I have uploaded all the recordings already. Hindi ko nga lang, I don't know if nalagay ko ba ang link sa, hindi ko ata nalagay sa Schoology. All of my recorded discussions are actually nasa YouTube. Naka-folder yan siya doon. Like, medtech research, nasa YouTube ko siya. Kung hindi ko siya nalagay, I think I forgot to post the link sa Schoology. Hanapin niyo yung pangalan ko sa YouTube. Nandoon. Okay? Nilalagay ko kasi siya doon for easy access. And this is the reason why I don't really use the big blue button sa Schoology. Kasi after the discussion, hirap kasi siyang balikan and hindi mo siya talaga totally mada-download. So parang voice lang yung mada-download mo sa sa big blue button. Then nasa siya nasa YouTube siya lahat. Paki-search yung name ko. Yung name ko talaga my whole name. Makikita niyo siya isang folder doon, medtech research. And per section yun siya, may description sa baba kung 3A, 3B, and 3C ba siya. Okay? Sige. So again, for the theoretical framework class, you have to identify here the theory. Or pwede din namang hindi theory, principle or law wherein we are going to anchor our research. Okay? Like, dito natin sinunod. Itong theory na to, ito yung sinunod natin. That is why ito yung research natin. Okay? So, pwede siyang educational na theory or law or principle. Pwede din siyang psychological. Pwede din naman siyang scientific, depending on the research. So what are the things that you need to obtain from the theory? Syempre, the name or the names of the author or authors of the theory, laws, or principles. And then the part of the theory that are relevant in your study. And then the last part will be the synthesis, meaning you have to relate the theory to your research on the last part ha. Ito medyo putol ata ito, pero this is just an example of a theoretical framework. Yung study is all about developing a laboratory manual sa pharmacology. I don't know if you have pharmacology na subject, but again, the study is about making a laboratory manual for pharmacology. So, yung study na yon is anchored in the theory of constructivism. This is actually a psychological theory, and this theory class is about learning through experience. 'Di ba? Sa laboratory, we learn if we get to experience doing this kind of thing, doing this procedure. So yun yung theory of constructivism. And yun yung theory wherein the study is being anchored. We need to make a laboratory manual kasi the student needs to experience this procedure for them to learn the concept of pharmacology. Okay? So anong ginawa? Syempre, estimate what the theory is all about and who developed this theory. We have Jerome Bruner here. And then this part here at the center is the part of the theory that is relevant to the study. And I don't know if naputol ko ito, basta the last part will be the synthesis, meaning i-relate yung magdi-discuss ka how the theory is related to your research. Okay? So, paano nyo malalaman? Hindi ko na siya actually i-discuss no kasi we have a lot of theories, millions of theories in the world. Tapos buo, as in, ang saklaw nito wide masyado. Meron tayong educational, psychological, and scientific theories. So, you researchers should be looking for that. So, ano ninyo na siya, hatabangan ninyo siya pangita kung ano yung theory that will be related to your research. Okay? I don't know if this has a theoretical framework though. This one has no theoretical framework. Since this one is class a qualitative research, significance after the significance of the study, diretso na siya scope. So again, walang theoretical framework yung qualitative research. Okay? Wait lang. Balikan natin yung mga examples natin kanina kung paano nila sinulat yung kanilang theoretical framework. And then, ayan, SOP. Okay. And then this is the theoretical framework. What is their theory here? It's the health belief model. It's actually a psychological model again. So mostly sa mababasa nyo, psychological model or psychological theory. Ano itong health belief model? Let's see. The model's goal is to predict health-related behaviors, especially when engaging with health services. So their study is about ano, di ba? Fake news and fear-mongering and vaccine confidence. Okay, so for them, this theory is actually related to their study. Kasi, ano ba ang scope ng study nito? Ito yung part ng theory that they think related sa study nila. The desire to avoid illness or conversely get well if already ill, and the belief that a specific health action will prevent or cure. Yung sa kanila kasi, kinukunan nila kung meron bang effect yung fake news doon sa pagpapavaccine, no? So most likely, ano talaga siya? Related talaga siya. Wait lang, kasi mahaba kasi itong, ano, check natin yung synthesis nila kung how this model or this theory is related to their research. This one. After discussing the part of the theory, here's the synthesis. The theory could explain the change in the behaviors of the individuals to the decisions in accepting or rejecting the vaccine. Okay? So yun yung relationship that they have identified sa taas dito sa research nila. Kasi pag health belief model, kasi yung mga belief ng mga tao magkakaroon ng effect doon sa decision making nila in terms of accessing yung mga health services. That's the health belief model. So talagang swak talaga siya sa research nila. Okay? Kasi yung mga belief sa mga fake news and fear mongering, magkakaroon ng effect yun doon sa decision nila whether to get the vaccine or not. So, binigyan talaga nila ng time yan na maghanap ng specific theory that will be suitable in their research. So, kayo din, kapag meron na kayong topic next time. Now, how about for experimental research? Sa experimental research, you may include here scientific laws or theories also, depending on your research topic. Or kung example, your study is about antibacterial agent or antibacterial activity of a certain plant. What you need to explain here in the theoretical framework is bakit nyo na-consider, you need to establish here in the theoretical framework, bakit nyo na-consider yung plant na yun as antibacterial? What is the theory behind? Okay, so pwede kayong mag-include ng information example of phytochemical screening ng plant, tapos nakalagay doon sa study na yon, pwede siya kasing study ha, nakalagay doon na itong plant mo merong example, ganitong chemical. And according to studies, so hanap din kayo ng additional studies na nagsasabi na itong chemical na ito is a possible antibacterial agent against example Staphylococcus aureus. Okay? So medyo trabahoso itong part na ito. Maghahanap talaga kayo kung descriptive na study theory talaga yon, laws or principles. Pagdating sa experimental, since wala tayong masyadong laws or theories, hinahanapan natin ng background why you have considered that kind of agent for a certain action. Antibacterial ba siya or sustaining? Ano bang meron sa kanya? Bakit niya siya na-consider na staining agent or possible potential na staining agent? Okay, hanapin niyo yung phytochemical niya. Okay? Now, the next one is the conceptual framework. Sa conceptual framework, dito natin i-establish yung mga variables in our study. Okay, so i-illustrate talaga natin, meaning we will have figure in the conceptual framework, and it looks like this. So most likely, for the conceptual framework class, ang pinaka-variables natin, we have the independent and the dependent variables. And then you need to place them in a box, and then the arrow here connecting the two box, and then we have the dependent variables here. Okay? So talagang makikita ito sa paper ninyo, especially for quantitative research. Yung qualitative, wala tayong conceptual framework kasi wala tayong IV and walang DV. Pero again, para doon sa ang mapipili na study ay quantitative, meron talaga tayong ganito. Now, ano itong mga research variables? Ito yung mga constructs natin that have available or measurable value. Pwede kang maka-observe, pwede kang maka-measure. Now, for a research, ang pinaka well-known talaga na variables, the ID and the DV. So, ano itong independent variable? The independent variable is the presumed variable or predictor variable. We are going to control that in our research or minamanipulate natin yan siya sa ating research, and nag-e-expect tayo na when we manipulate these variables, makakakuha tayo ng outcome. Makakakuha tayo ng changes or effect doon sa isang variable pa. Kaya nga siya tinawag na predictor variable. And in your framework, we place the independent variable here, and then the arrow goes here, meaning talaga ito magkukos ng effect. Kaya merong arrow papunta dito sa dependent variable. So definitely, the dependent variable is the outcome variable. Okay? Outcome variable yan siya. Ito yung magkakaroon ng change in our research. Okay? So, we have here the other name for our dependent variable, the criterion variable. I will show you an example later. But actually, we have another extra variable here, pero this one is depende na sa research ninyo. Ito yung tinatawag natin na moderating variable. Pwede siyang quali, meaning wala siyang numerical value. Pwede din siyang quanti na may numerical value siya. As long as ito yung ma-identify natin na variable that will affect the direction or the strength of the relationship between the independent and the dependent variable. So we have here an example, availability of reference materials. Example sa library. Ito yung mga reference manuals or materials sa library na gusto natin makuha kung gaano karami ang number of rejects. That's the dependent variable. Pwede naman ito lang talaga yung kukunin natin sa research. But if we look at it deeply, merong isang variable dyan that will affect the strength or the direction of the change. So example, ito yung mga available na reference manual. And then ito karami yung na-reject, pero meron ditong isang variable. Ito yung tinatawag nating moderating variable, interest and inclination. Okay? So baka naman kasing marami masyadong na-reject kasi yung mga reader, iba pala yung interest and inclination nila. Okay? So nagkakaroon ng effect yan doon sa most likely sa independent variable. So what are the other examples of our moderating variable? Example, this is our independent variable. You want to know the hours of study na ginagawa ng mga students. And gusto nating malaman kung may direct effect ba yon doon sa exam score nila. Kung may relationship ba. Meaning yan, kung tumaas ba yung hours ng pag-study nila, tataas din yung exam scores nila or the other way around. Pwede yun siya na diretso. Pero, meron, kung titingnan din natin, meron pa talagang isang variable na magkakaroon ng effect dyan, and that is the IQ. Kasi may mga students na hindi naman sila talagang nagsistudy ng matagal, pero mataas pa din ang exam score nila. So, it may be because of their IQ. So, si IQ magiging moderating variable siya. It will actually cause a change and effect here in the relationship or the direction of the change. Okay? So another one, we want to know the relationship between the level of stress and the depression of, example, our respondents. Kung mataas ba ang stress nila, stress level nila, does it mean magkakaroon din sila ng depression? Okay, so this one is a good study. But if we look at it deeply, social support can be a moderating variable. Kasi yung iba, mataas yung stress nila, pero hindi naman sila nagkakaroon ng depression. It may be because okay yung kanilang social support. Okay? So again, social support here will become the moderating variable. And then, another example here, we have the teaching method and the academic performance. So nating malaman kung may relationship ba yung teaching method ng teacher doon sa academic performance, example sa grade ng student. Okay lang din yan na diretso yung pag-determine IV and DV na relationship. But kung titingnan natin, pwede namang magbago itong academic performance. Pwedeng because of the children background. Example, hindi naman talaga masyadong okay yung teaching method pero mataas pa rin yung academic performance kasi siguro yung bata, maganda yung study habit niya, yung support niya from the family, okay. So, kaya mataas pa rin yung kanyang academic performance. So, in this case, since ito lang talaga yung gusto nating malaman, si children background magiging moderating variable na lang siya. Okay? So, your conceptual framework will look like this. Merong nasa gitna. Okay? By the way, nakabox talaga si IV and si DV ha. Same size and at the same time connected talaga yung arrow na yan. Let's look at the example natin kanina sa study. We have here, after the theoretical framework, we have the conceptual framework. So ano ang nilagay nila? Independent variable, medical fake news, and fear-mongering. Ito yung manipulate nila sa study nila. Sila yung kumuha na, oh, ito fake news. Ito nilagay nila sa questionnaire. Okay? Tapos, in-identify nila kung naniniwala ba yung person or yung kanilang respondent sa fake news or hindi. Tapos, the arrow goes to the dependent variable, the outcome. So, kung naniniwala ba sila dito, anong mangyayari sa vaccine confidence? So this is the variable that will be changed or will be affected based on the independent variable. So sa conceptual framework class, you will have the figure, pero it's not just about the figure. Figure lang talaga yung ilalagay nyo dyan. Kung nakikita nyo, may mga textual presentations dyan, meaning you also have to explain what is written in the figure. Okay, kailangan yun ng explanation. Hindi naman siya masyadong mahaba. You just have to explain that these are your variables and that medical fake news will be the independent and your expected outcome will be the vaccine confidence of the respondents. Okay? So let's have a little exercise. Let me check whether naintindihan yung IV and ang DV. In this case, you have to tell me what is the DV, meaning dependent variable of the study. Please send your answers sa chat box ha, para it will be recorded. Kasi after the meeting, since this is recorded, the answers are also recorded so that I have a copy kung sino yung nagpa-participate for your grade ha. So number 1, again, identify, just write the letter of your choice sa chat box. So number 1, Dr. Smith examines daily exposure to a sun lamp. Meron siyang nilagay 1 hour exposure and no exposure. And then its impact on people's depression levels in winter time. So alin daw dyan ang dependent variable? Yung 1 hour exposure, no exposure, or yung depression? Okay. Sige, very good. That is the depression. So yung outcome class ng pagkaka-expose sa sun, yun yung tinitingnan natin kung magkakaroon ba siya ng depression or hindi. Okay, so this is the dependent variable. And then yung exposure sa sun, yan yung tinatawag nating independent variable. So you know that man good na during winter, nakaka-depress talaga yan siya. So the doctor wanted to know kung may relationship ba talaga ang exposure to yung ginagawa niyang sun lamp doon sa pagkakaroon ng depression. Okay, so number 2, does age of the child 4, 5, or 6 influence when children can learn to read? So letter A, age of child. Letter B, level of reading. This is still asking about the dependent variable. Okay, very good. It is level of reading. So ang kanyang tinitingnan kasi relationship ng age and then yung reading. So ang minamanipulate niya yung age. Kasi kung titingnan natin, how do we manipulate this? Siya yung pumili na yung age is either 4, 5, or 6. And then may relationship ba yun sa pagbasa nila? And then lastly, time reading on exam performance. So letter A, time reading. Letter B, exam performance. Alin dito yung DV? DV is the outcome ha? The outcome variable. So that is very good. This is the exam performance. Yung ating independent variable is time na pagbabasa. So kung tataas ba yung time ng pagbabasa, does it mean tataas din yung exam score or the other way around? So meaning the exam score is the outcome, the dependent variable, and the time reading is the independent variable. Okay, so yun yung i-identify nyo ha in the conceptual framework. Okay, any question? So before we'll end, I'll just discuss this very quickly since konti lang naman itong scope and delimitation. This is the last part. The last part is the RRL, pero in this case, this will be our last topic, the scope and the delimitation. So from the name itself, scope, we are going to set boundaries here kung hanggang ano lang yung isasali nyo sa research ninyo. So that will be in terms of areas, issues, and respondents, the period of the study, and the limitation if meron. So ano yung kailangan i-include sa scope and delimitation? Andito na naman si general purpose or C, objective. Uulitin mo na naman siyang i-state sa research mo. And then you also have to include a very little information about your topic. And take note, the research local. What do you mean by research local? It is where you are going to conduct your study. It is where you are going to gather your data. So you have to properly identify that in your research. And then the population or your respondents, you also have to identify that. So kagaya sa kanila, sa study kanina, millennials of General Santos City. So they have properly identified that also in their scope and delimitation. And lastly, the period of the study. When you say period, it's the time frame of the study. So this is an example of a scope and delimitation. It's not necessarily mahaba. Kailangan mo lang i-provide yung talagang scope ng study mo. Number 1, the objective of your study, and a little information about your research topic, and then followed by respondents of the study, and naisa na kasi yung research local also, though inulit pa rin yung research local sa baba. Pero again, all you need to do is to establish who are the respondents of your study and where are you going to conduct your study. So sinama na din dito kung paano natin kukunin yung data sa respondent. So sinali dito na they will be using a questionnaire. Interview pala. Interview guide. And then lastly, inulit lang dito yung research local para klaro kasi yung topic sa taas is more of the respondents and we have here the time frame. So yan lang yung nilalagay sa scope and delimitation kasi we need to delimit. So pag sinabi mo residents of General Santos City, residents lang talaga ng General Santos City, hindi kasali yung outside Gensan. Okay? So yan yung nilalagay class sa scope and delimitation. Last na ito before we'll end. Ito. Konti lang talaga ang scope and delimitation. Again, the purpose of the study, you have here the respondents, and saan? Research local, General Santos City. And lastly, the time frame. When you are going to conduct. Again, sa time frame, when are you going to gather your data? So, second sem pa yun class ha, second sem pa. So, walang maglalagay ng September to December 2022 sa time frame. Kasi what we are trying to establish there is kailan nyo i-administer yung questionnaire nyo. So next semester pa yan siya, most likely mga January or February to May. Yun yung ilalagay nyo sa time frame. Okay? So that ends my discussion. It's 11:32 na, sobrang 10 ng 2 minutes. But you have questions before ta maniud to? Again,